Look at that, last of the summer swines. Got any carp? Is it what size have you caught, mister? So I've headed off a little bit here. Neale was warning me earlier on about the nuclear, you know, the thought like the oh my God.
Look there. Amazing.
I don't need me ready, Brett, ma'am. I'll be with you soon. Incredible sunrise. Incredible. The rain has been replaced by wind. Look at this. Oh, it's just beautiful light flooding through the valley. Change from the last time we spoke, which was literally just 30 seconds ago. Hurtling wind through the valleys and the beautiful light. Oh, it's hitting everywhere now. It's starting to light up all these skeletal birch and making everything come to life. Didn't I say at the beginning, why? Why do we come out in all conditions? There's always a chance. It is where it all began. January 2018, as I've said. Right, I best go because it's getting slippy. And I've got legs like E.T. I think I've broken. It's going in there. I'm starting to hit it. I'm feeling it. Warm, loose. It's happening. It's happening. See? Oh, see? This is why. It's not happening, so Anthony, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for ruining my vlog, for not giving me anything that I could feel inspired by. But I won't hold it against you. We're all open-minded. Well, some of us on this planet. Take care, fella, take care. See there. Put that away. Put it away. You know, this is great. Getting the air in. It's raining, but the great thing, as I've told you before, the canopy of the trees and nature's umbrella. Right, come on, sit there.
So I've got to tell you right from the bat, I've no idea why he's brought me here. The place is just full of dead ferns, all brown in colour, and the trees are just full of all this green rubbish. All these greens and the leaves are starting to turn. They're turning yellow because they're dying. Why have you brought me to this place? There's just nothing to see here. Nothing. Disappointed.
When I looked at the weather forecast last night, I was thinking this is not a day to be doing a photography meet-up for landscape photography. However, I think
he's with me.
We're gonna, yeah. I mean, that is reward enough. But I think it's.
I do read it like that.
It's these sort of days.
Yeah.
When you got to put the effort in.
Yes.
And with no guarantee of success, that sometimes, very occasionally, something magical happens. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to another video like no other, because this is the end of 2023. It's not the end of me, just the year. And I'm doing something I've never done before. I've got this new setup. I've actually got the camera set. I've got lighting. All Mark Denny. I've got some little toys on my desk. He's had some flack. I don't know why. We just do what we do. We like to create, put it out there, and hopefully you enjoy it. Anyway, this video, if you'll indulge and join me, because I've just watched Simon Booth's video, very good, with his doggy on his shoulder. He's not a pirate. He's just done it on the couch at the back. Really good, Simon. Enjoyed that. If you don't know who Simon is, link down below. That's another thing about this video. There'll be lots of links to things in it because I want to share. I want to give the end of 2023, going into 2024. There's a lot of updates, a lot of things happening. And we've even got from Twitter, from YouTube, from Facebook, there's a bit of Vero on there, Threads. We've got some questions from you people out there who like watching my channel, and I can't thank you enough. Right, you ready for this? Cut. Where are you? Oh, there you go. The cut worked well, don't you think? How'd you like this? Anyway, I've got a list of questions. Let's get to it because I want to talk about the podcast. I want to talk about the future of my channel. I want to talk about what's going to happen this year and the future of my photography. And now, if you've noticed and you watch my channel, thank you very much again. If you're new to the channel, I predominantly do landscape photography in a bonkers way. I don't aim to teach. I don't aim to share product reviews. But I do have products. I've got some products coming. I've almost abandoned the idea of a product review. And I'm trying to do it in a different way where it's in the field experience with a product. Because for me to carry on, I do need some form of sponsorship, sadly. Unless you all now shut this, open a web browser, go to Patreon, and for a couple of pounds, you can join me and support this channel. Hopefully, at some point, that will be the way forward. No more sponsorships, no more adverts. But for now, I do this for nothing or a pittance, for the occasional review and product. And I've been very lucky this year to have been with Nikon and sharing their products and getting their products. The last one was a Nikon ZF, which has been, wow, I love that camera. I've literally just boxed it up to send back with a tear in my eye. Well, I have just said that my channel isn't an educational channel, but it is, because I feel the best way to learn is to do. And when I'm out, either in a workshop or doing a video, I don't want to talk specifics as in real deep technical, because the deep technical doesn't create an expressive image. I'm going to be doing a few of these videos this year, and they are going to lend themselves more to being an educational video. I've got some edits to show you because I feel I've developed a style over the past 5 or 6 years that I'd like to share with you. I get a lot of people asking, how do I create my woodland shots in a painterly way? That's one of the Q&A questions today. Also, my influences, where do they come in? And we're going to talk more about artists in the future. Not like the Photographic Eye or, say, some other channels out there. It'll be my way. Stick with me, because I think this could be fun and hopefully beneficial to you. Fun for me. I just love talking and I love recording. And I've got to get an unsqueaky chair before we do that. You probably can't hear it, but every time I move, my arse creaks. It is the chair. We're going to develop that idea of doing a talking head, because I've watched so many people who do this, and I feel that
I have got something to give in that way. And when I can't get out in the field, I've got a lot of images. And that brings us nicely to 2023. I wanted to do a roundup of my favourite images, but I've still got so much in terms of photography that I've still not edited. My visits to Scotland, I haven't edited. I've got a woodland shoot when there was fog and mist, and just probably some of my best woodland photography I've ever done from this year. And we're going into 2024. I can't really do a roundup of my favourite images because I haven't finished editing them yet. I've got videos from Formby. I've got a TT Artisans 32mm review. As I've just said earlier, there isn't a review. It's out in the field. I'm shooting mostly on the GoPro on my chest around Salford Keys, and had a lot of fun doing that. And I think it's a good way to show how a very inexpensive lens can still produce results. So that's the idea behind that. It's something different in terms of a product review. Anyway, let's get my notes and where we up to. The podcast I haven't mentioned. I've got lots of guests coming on. I've got an individual who's coming on who I've been following for over 5 years. He's a legend to me. He doesn't know this, by the way, and I'm not going to mention his name and embarrass him, but he really is someone that's inspired me in photography terms. This, not content creation. My channel is about photography. Although Madcap, out in the field, its base, its heart, its soul, is for me to share my photography. And now, with the podcast, to share others and other people who influence me and who I adore their work. And this gentleman's going to be recording with me sometime in January. And the in-between episodes will continue. I really like them, and I've had a lot of good feedback. I'm shocked, actually, that I'm getting the listening numbers up there that I get with the guests. So I'm glad I've brought that back, because that was a Patreon-only podcast. Because I want to give a lot to the community I'm building on Patreon. But I've brought that podcast back, and it means I have to do double the work now, because I do release a Patreon-only little chat, if you like. But we have the meetup as well, and I want to do some real-world meetups with Patreon that are held within the Patreon community. So if you want to come on a meetup, you know what to do. Links are down below. I've wrote here about the future of my channel. It's mostly going to be the same. I nearly went all Fast Show then. If anyone doesn't know the Fast Show, just search YouTube Fast Show. Today, I'll mostly be making YouTube videos, the same as last year, but hopefully more. I say this a lot. Time is tight. And the only way for me to produce more would be to go full time. Just have a minute. Just breathe, because I am. 2024. I turned 50 in 2023, the end of. I'm working on my book, 50 Times Around the Sun. And I hope at some point I'm going to dive. I'm going to do it. And this is going to be my life. Full-time photography, full-time podcasts, and full-time YouTube. So the aim is to do at least 25 videos this year. I've still got 10 from last year. So I've got a bit of a run-up, if you know what I mean. And I'm adding this video in for New Year. Hopefully tonight, tomorrow, this goes out. And I wanted to do it in a way where it gets some interest and get people involved. And thank you, because the Q&A idea has gone well. And there's a lot of people ask me a lot of questions. So you know who you are. Thank you very much. But going full time, let's just get back to that. It's going to happen. Not if, it's when. Which brings me nicely onto my workshops. And yeah, he's got to mention his workshops. But you know, I'm going to mention them again in a slightly different way. I absolutely love teaching and I love doing workshops. My background, I've taught in colleges and university, and I've taught graphic design, I've taught other things in the past to do with creativity. Creating a zine, or back then an actual printed magazine, was something I've taught many a class when I was at college, using desktop publishing in design and what have you. And these are things that I think hold well for my workshops, and I didn't want to go jumping in and declaring myself an expert. I wanted to make sure that what I was offering was of value, that people give good feedback, and the past 2 years of doing one-to-ones have provided just that. Thank you to everyone who has been and has booked a workshop with me and come along and experienced what I've given. And thank you so much for all your kind words and reviews on Trustpilot, and giving me the confidence now to move on, knowing that the knowledge I have got is learned, is from books, is right to a degree, isn't your YouTube standard of just plucking things out the air, but it's formula, it's studied, it's real learning and real experience in the field. And if you're interested, the one-to-ones will continue. I'm hoping to put out more of those, but it is on a book status. There is no set dates for the one-to-ones. If you want to come on one, get in touch, and whatever's convenient for both of us, we can meet up and get out and shoot in all conditions. And this brings us nicely to Scotland 2024. Based at the Black Isle, I'll be running my first residential workshop with up to 5 people. 5 of you can come along. Your meals are included, your evening meals are included, your transport to the locations throughout the week. Yes, it will be from Sunday till the Saturday morning, Friday evening. We will have a roundup, but it is a week-long workshop, going through your images every day, talking in a beautiful location with your own rooms, en suite, evening meals included, transport, as I say, to the locations throughout the day, and just the evenings of creativity, of chat, and a group of 5 of us really getting to know the landscapes. We'll be going to various locks, various places, and also some street photography. It's going to be a real plethora, I love that word, a real plethora of photography. And look out for the details. This will be announced February, early March, when I've just got all the finishing touches in place. So there you go. It's announced now. October next year. Dates and all the information to be confirmed in February and March. But Elements is the name of the workshop, and I am so excited to get this together, get it announced officially, and hopefully 5 of you will come and join me for a full week of fantastic photography. Right, where are we up to? Q&A. Come on. Right, let's jump into the questions. Thanks so much, everyone, for dropping me these really difficult questions. All unrehearsed answers. These are just straight off the cuff, no bull. So first up is our good friend, James R. Burns. He has got a YouTube channel. You must go and watch James. He does some very interesting photography. And he's mixing it up and creating things that are... he looks in such a way and sees in a way that I find wonderful and unique and very inspirational. Anyway, enough blowing smoke up his arse. He's asked me, who do you consider your main influencers? Influencers. that have moulded you and who are, in terms of your photography, who have moulded me in my photography style? It's an interesting question because in terms of photography, I'm not sure if anything's moulded me apart from myself. Maybe subconscious influences. And James is one of them, I've got to say. I've watched him since the beginning and his work is fabulous. But influencers, I think he's having a bit of a laugh there. Peter McKinnon? What? Torrate? That kind of thing. No. Cut. No. Influencers, what can I say? Don't think there is any influencers. I just love photography. And there's a lot of photographers. I think one of the main influences for me are artists as well. There's so many photographers out there at the moment who are amazing that it all influences you, I guess, in some way, even on a subconscious level. But I do try to stick to what I like doing and not copy or not let other styles influence me and just do what I feel. And it's quite expressive. So that wasn't really an answer, was it, James? I do love a bit of Kenner, Michael Kenner. Brandt, Bill Brandt. There's a lot of people out there I could mention. But I don't want to start sifting through. Wallace Kandinsky, I love abstract expressionism. I love impressionism. And I love Salvador Dali as well. And then you've got people like Tim White and futurists. I can't think. Jacob Epstein. There's so many. Kind of an amalgamation of artists, photographers that I just love to look through. You know, I've got lots of books at the moment that I'm feeding myself on. But do they have a direct influence on my photographic style? The answer would have to be no. Moving on anyway. He's getting far too much airtime there, is our James. Thanks for your question. Iannson. All right. How you doing, Ian? Thanks very much for the question. What would you do if you couldn't be out and about with a camera? There's a keyboard here. I love music. I love playing. I love being in bands. I used to do that. I think that's probably what I'd continue. Yeah, I like making music, although that's been on the back foot for a while, and I just have a tinkle. I wanted to tinkle. I wanted to make music for the videos for the channel, but it's too much. You'd get one video a year. So I've had to ditch that idea, Ian. But I'd guess it would be continuing with music, possibly going deeper into graphic design and art and painting. I used to love being a fine artist back in my college days, doing massive abstract, 6 foot by 6 foot paintings. I've got a couple still left dotted around. Most of them ended up painted over or experimented with. I know I shouldn't have done. Probably should have kept them, but that's me. I like change. I like continuing to try things. But photography, I've said this a few times, it's the one constant that's been with me for most of my life. And now I know in my heart and my soul, it's all I want to do. So I don't think there would be anything else, in honest, apart from music. Grant Swinburne. All right, Grant, down under. How's it going? What's my favourite ale? I don't drink that much, and I'm getting less and less drink that much. I drink less and less. Cider was my bag. I liked a pint of cider. I've turned to Guinness lately, but I think, I need to lay off it a bit. It's quite heavy in the old calories. Oh, Darren J. Spoonley let me know, because you're like a whippet lad. So does Guinness actually pile the pints up? Pounds on? Probably not. But yeah, I like a Guinness. Des Blanchfield. Hello, Des. You have said some very kind comments over the the time. Thank you so much. How do you personally draw the line between needs editing versus too much editing? And when it comes to post-processing, knowing when to stop. I've probably butchered that question. I have copied and pasted it, but drawing the line. How far do you go? I think that's personal, and it's a degree of expression again. I find contrast can be a killer. I like to create painterly styles. I like to make things that I like. So if I see something, and what do I like about that? Usually the softness, the painterliness, or the composition and elements, and that'll stick with me, I guess. And I'll think, what do I like about this shot? So when I've got an image, does it warrant having contrast, and will that be clashing? Does it look, for want of a better way, yuck? Blech. Or is it, that I like it? Landscape photography for me is there's a beauty involved. It's quite shallow, I think, actually, at times. It doesn't have to be. I like complex scenes and I like chaos. And that moves away from that shallow, that's nice, if you know what I mean. It gives you more of an aesthetic of emotion and feeling is what I'm reaching for. But there is a beauty involved. There is a personal aesthetic that I have that I like to represent. And knowing when to stop and how far to take it, it's a personal thing. But go back and look. Even some of your older images and go, ooh, I'll cook the saturation a bit there. Or, oh, what was it doing? Why is that so like flat or without any contrast? Because I did have a spell of really flattening out scenes and making them, quite soft. And it's finding the level of pushing those sliders. And they don't need a lot. That's one of the biggest things I've learned in post-processing is not to do too much, but do enough of everything. An amalgamation of light, of contrast, of colour. That amalgamation, that recipe, that formula is very slight. It doesn't have to be heavy-handed. But again, it's what do you want to express in that image, and that's personal. Damian Ward. Hello, Damian. You was on the podcast with me, and what a pleasure it was to talk to you. I really enjoyed it. I love your photography. I think you're a fabulous photographer. And like myself, you work in a creative industry. I've worked full time and still get out and take beautiful images of trees, of situations, of architecture, or wherever Damian goes, he'll get a shot. And there's a simplicity to his shots and composition. And his question, if you could spend time shadowing a photographer, who would it be? They can be from the past or the present. My goodness me. Well, photographer, I think artists, Hudson River, some of the collection of artists there. I'd love to spend time with Michael Kenner. I've got to mention him. He really was a huge influence on me many years ago. And I still go back to Michael, especially his trees and woodland photography and the simplicity. A complex scene posed and composed very well becomes simple to view. That is the keys for me that he gave me. To take something that is complex and simplify and create an aesthetic that draws you in. Yeah. Charlie Waite as well. Early Charlie. Sorry, Charlie. Still love all your photography, but his earlier work has a Kenner feel of simplicity within a scene, a complex scene made visually appealing. Rhythm, repetition, lines, contrast, shapes, geometry, anything that fits within representing something beautiful. And there's so many people out there I'd love to shadow. I'd like Van Gogh. I'd love to. Could you imagine spending a day with that man? Or a month while he's doing a painting? Oh, wow. Any road, there's too many to mention. I've mentioned a couple there. And there's people who are not famous. I say not famous. In our community. Like yourself, Damian. I'd love to be out with you and spend some time and see what you're doing and how you shoot. There's quite a few photographers at the moment that are creating that I'd love to spend time with. Simon Booth's another. You know, Adam Gibbs, Gavin Hardcastle. The list goes on and on. Thomas Eaton, Simon Baxter, Ruth Grindod. There's so many names popping in my head now that I think I adore their photography. Wendy Bagnall. Do you want me to go on? There's more. And these are just names that I get a real connection with. That I love the style and aesthetic that they produce. And to see how they work would be great. Verity Milligan was fantastic to be out with and see how cool she was and how she just took her time to find a scene. It was a joy to watch. Adam, first man, the way he put together a video was just so effortless. And I know it wasn't, but he made it look like it was just like putting your socks on. That's a compliment and a half, innit? Sorry, Adam. Paul Belly. Is it Belly? Apologies. Kiora Malley. He's from down under. Paul, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you're a Kiwi. Is that insulting? Cut. I think you're from New Zealand. Please. I hope I'm not insulting you. Paul C. He's another gentleman. New Zealander. I want to get him on the podcast. If you're watching and listening to this, Paul, please get in touch. Kiora Malley, you clearly have a deep passion and love for woodland photography. Which woods, forests, would you love to shoot outside of the UK? Do you know, that's a damn fine question, and it's not something I've looked at. The Fennell Forest, everyone is there or thereabouts at the minute, and I won't mind. I can't say I'm like Columbus and I discovered it first, because he didn't neither. But the Fennell Forest I'd looked at years ago, a long time ago, and it's got very popular. I reckon I wouldn't be happy there because it's quite high up, and I think to get to it, I'd have to be blindfolded like Mr. T. A warm glass of milk can knock me out in back of a tuk-tuk or a taxi, because the heights around that island. Yeah, I think I'd struggle. The same with the Faroes. I reckon I'd struggle there as well because of the heights. Now, so outside the UK, Paul, I don't really know. Show me. Send me some links to New Zealand or Australia. Have I offended you all? Please, come back. I have a big following down under. Especially to everyone in New Zealand who gets in touch. And I've done talks over there. And you guys, just love you. Thank you so much for your support. I think we're coming to the end. Oh, God, no. We've loads. I need a break. Hold on. Cut. We're back. Quick break there. We're halfway. Hold on to you. Come on. You can make it. If you're still asleep, wake up. Thank you. Because we've got Jethro Stebbins with another belter of a question. We already know the Mally in front of the camera do you? Not so sure about that. I want to know about the Mally behind the camera. I know you are a graphic designer for many years. I also saw you playing a synthesizer. I know you're a big family man too. What else can you tell us about me? Oof. Oh, I don't know. You've had it all. I pretty much don't hide anything. I am what you see. What you see is what you get. What else? I love me van. Me van, I want to get it kitted out. It's still not kitted out. Still got my IKEA cupboard in the back for a cup of tea, my biscuits. Removable bed. But it does the job and it works for the family. But what else about me? Oh, God. How long have you got? Let me just ponder. I used to love kite flying. Yeah, I did a bit of that. I've done a bit of everything though. I played quite a bit of golf. And I was well under par. Some of the local courses, I think my handicap was below 10. You know, I was all right. I could drive a 300. Oh, aye. I liked a bit of golf. But I got osteoarthritis in my spine, top and bottom. I don't really mention it because I don't really want to mention it. Just crack on. I'm in agony and pain a lot of the time. My spine is crumbling, basically. Crumbly spine, man. There you go. You didn't know that. What else? Ooh, I love chocolate. Oh, ain't chocolate great? What else? I love driving. I love driving all over show. But having a real anxiety with bridges and sometimes driving is a problem. It gives me anxiety. But I love driving. There you go. I think that's answered the question, Jethro. Send me some chocolate. Let's go for a drive and talk about golf courses. Nah. If I saw a golf course now, it'd have to be covered in snow for minimalism. There's a tip for you from Adrian Villa. Golf courses when it's snowing. Great for minimalist lone tree shots. There you go. That was a great tip from Adrian. Chris Cart. Chris Ward. Well, if you're after questions, there is something he's been wondering for a while. What extent do you think your background as a graphic designer and abstract artist influenced your photography? And has one had more influence than the other? Sorry, I butchered that. And has one had more influence than the other? It's another good question. I feel possibly graphic design and abstract expressionism or being an abstract artist are combined at times because the rules of composition in graphic design in a 2D way are very strong in my thoughts anyway on abstract art or creating abstract art. It's a fabulous question, Chris, and one I'm struggling to answer because I think graphic design and abstract expressionism or abstract art go hand in hand. And there's a lady who pops to mind called Glenys Garnett, who produces such super modern, stylized, graphical abstract photography. Wonderful. I adore this lady. I've been looking at her work for a couple of years now. I discovered her a couple of years ago, and I've only just reached out to her and hope she'll come on a podcast and have a chat about her abstract expressionism and abstract photography. But she's a good example of how graphic design and abstract photography meet and work seamlessly together. So for me, they have had quite an influence on my photography in terms of composition. I'm playing with lines and 2D sometimes. I think my photography, a lot of the time, actually lacks depth, but not in a bad way, in a way that I like that, just the layers and having certain areas of an image looking quite 2D and thirds or representing areas cut through of lines or some form of geometry, abstraction, or, like I say, graphic design elements to the photography. So yes, it does have a large effect, and it's quite extensive within my photography at times. But again, depends on what I'm shooting, what I'm looking at, what I'm doing out in the field, and what tickles me fancy at the time. Thanks, Chris. Next question is from Diana Dom 4742 with a question. How do you get your photographs, my photography, to look like a painting? Well, I spoke about this a bit earlier. I'm not sure. I get what you mean about look like a painting. It's not something I aim for or see when I'm editing. But I do like the effects of softening an image, making something look visually appealing. The aesthetics, again, my own personal expression and aesthetics of creating a painterly feel, which is something a lot of people say to me. Now, how do I go about getting that? That comes from practice. Again, delicate movement on the sliders in Lightroom or Adobe Camera Raw, which I've started using a little bit more. When I've been out and done a shoot, I don't normally touch my images, but something's got me excited. I'll double click the RAW file and I'll do a quick edit in ACR. Cut. When I get excited about an image, I'll double click the RAW file and open it in Adobe Camera Raw, and I'll play around with it in there. And I have found that the engine in Photoshop's Camera Raw editing facility compared to Lightroom feels different. It feels like I can push a little bit more with the contrasts and, as you say, painterly effects in Adobe Camera Raw. It might just be me or the settings or something. I use sRGB to edit across all my editing suite, so there's nothing different there. But I do feel I sometimes get better results in Adobe Camera Raw, and Lightroom is a great way of having the whole set from a shoot together. And how would I approach that if I want to get a painterly effect, especially with my woodland, is a removal of contrast or bringing in contrast by using other ways of introducing depth, by removing contrast but pushing blacks in. Not a lot. I don't use clarity, or I don't push those sliders. I may use texture in a technique where I'll put a mask over an image and introduce areas of softer texture and areas with stronger contrast without the texture being used, by using the subtract in the mask paint tool. The paintbrush, I'll use subtract in Lightroom to remove away areas where I've negative texture. Clarity and adding blacks and sometimes removing blacks, dropping whites but introducing highlights. So bringing up the highlights but removing the whites. And it's an amalgamation of these tools, and you see it happening as you're working. It becomes more expressive, more painterly. And next year, I will jump into some of that and record some edits on how I create that effect, or just my aesthetic, if you like. I'm not going to say effect or a painterly feeling. It's whatever tickles my fancy at the time. I've said that a couple of times now, and I say it again. It's how you're feeling at the time, mood, how the image invokes an emotion, a feeling, and then what do you want to express? And along that journey, that path, I will find I could be creating something that's more painterly by the way I use the sliders. And last question from Cameron Tier. I say last question, he's got a few. I'm not sure if I can answer them all. What was your highlight for 2023? Scotland. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. The Lake District has put on a good show this year. But do you know what? If I was to really say what the highlights are for 2023, really discovering local areas and getting shots that are exhibition quality. I have a picture that's up in a St Helens gallery at the moment, and I got highly commended, which I'm blown away by. The Open Arts competition for St Helens, I submitted a piece this year, and that was a panel. Well, it's a panel, but a letterbox large, over 1.20 m by about 70 high, in a floating frame. It cost me quite a bit to get it printed on an aluminium floating within a mahogany frame. I really like the finish, but the image is from a local woodland, which is a little bit special. To produce something of that standard from somewhere quite close to home. So the surprise beyond Scotland is becoming learning, feeling how to get shots locally to a high standard. That's been a big highlight for me this year. What's my plans for 2024? Well, I think I've gone through them all. Going full time, workshops, residential workshops. What else? More videos, more content, more photography, more teaching, more behind the camera here and giving you some inspiration, hopefully, in my editing, and a lot more of everything, really. I think that answers that. Is there anywhere you haven't been to yet but would like to go and shoot? Oh, there's so many places. Japan is up there. Japan. Yeah. I'd love to go New York. Street photography in New York. Why not? Hey, why not? Oh, what? There are two places I would love to spend time doing photography. Japan and New York. Will there be a return of the Mali Summer Holiday Vlogs 2024? Without a doubt. Mali on tour is happening. There will be some of those. You might not see them till 2025 though. Can you give me some more info on workshops that you do? It says himself, I'm a beginner in terms of photography, but would like to learn more. We're going over old ground, but I'll mention it again because it's a good plug. I do one-to-one workshops. This is organised. Just drop me an email. Go onto my website at maliphotography.co.uk/workshops. Fill in the form. I'll get in touch and we can organise something together where we go out in the field. You have a choice of quite a few places. These are growing all over the country. I'll go anywhere, really, because we can learn and we can experience the landscape anywhere. So that's pretty much in a nutshell all the answers there, Cameron. Thank you so much. And well, I think we're coming to the end of this unique video from me. If you're there, are you still awake? Can you hear me, mother? Right, well, yeah, let's wrap it up, eh? Let's get to the shots. Here's a handful, a selection of images that I personally love from 2023. And I hope you enjoy and love them as much as I do. That's the idea, really, to pass something on. And hopefully, 2024, I can pass on a lot more. Thanks so much for watching. And well, there's only one thing left to say. And that's... Sidi!